Hey everyone, welcome back to Sabertalk with Asher and Aaron. Got a couple things to talk about here tonight. First off, something that's been really blowing up since the last Sabertalk we had. The Galaxy's Edge lightsabers. Aaron, your thoughts on them?
I mean, I don't know much.
Just from what you've seen.
I mean, they look really intriguing. I mean, are they the absolute best? No, but they're nice quality. I've heard that they're.
I've heard that just what you get with it is worth it. Like the presentation, the fact that the blades that come with it are interchangeable, which is really nice.
I've heard it's an actual metal hilt.
Yeah.
That is like really nice.
Yeah. Like what I've got here, I've got a converted Black Series. So what they've got, the soundboard is a little bit different. I don't know from experience whether it's better or worse or about the same, but this is what we got on this
one. I've heard it's about the same, if not just a tad better.
Right. Kind of weird. And the light right here, like this is a light blue, but on camera it looks kind of guardian blue. I like it. Anyway. My take on it is there are many different models of the lightsabers you can get at Disney parks. There's the parks exclusive that they still sell. From what I've heard, those ones are not on par with the Black Series or the new Galaxy's Edge lightsabers you can get at the park, although they're still okay from what I've seen. Bless you.
Thank you.
My question for you is, do you think that Disney or Hasbro or whoever is in charge of making these models will at any point move to better technology, say like NeoPixel or even in-hilt LEDs, which I think would be a smart option?
I mean, there's a possibility. I mean, from what I hear, it's almost a blend of the Black Series technology and the NeoPixel. It's kind of in between. So who knows? Maybe eventually it'll become something more like NeoPixel, because I really think that whether we like it or not, or which I think it'll be improved upon, but I think that that's kind of becoming the newest greatest thing.
Yeah, I'm still an in-hilt guy. I would not trust
I don't disagree with you,
in a fight. For me, I think that would be a smart move on their part if they did go with in-hilt LEDs, because you could still have the aesthetic of the lightsabers they have right now. It wouldn't take a lot of work, I don't think, either. Maybe a slight increase when it comes to the LED they use, but
I think
they'd make a bit more because the blades would be much brighter in the long run.
Well, I do think that probably if they're going to do anything, and it's just because of all the effects and what it does for the saber and all that, I think if they're going to go to anything bigger and better, it would be NeoPixel, and it's only just because it would be more.
The only problem I could see with that is that people might not buy them, because that would bring the cost of the sabers up by I'd say at least $150.
Right, I'm saying if they did anything, but I only say that because in many ways, for their aesthetic, for what they're going for, it fits better. Now, do maybe people like us who maybe want to do more things with it, maybe duel with it? I mean, you can still duel with a NeoPixel, but not the way that But
like the definition of dueling when it comes to NeoPixel is basically bam, 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 bam. Not like the way we go. Where
right, of course, and I get that. But I'm
Concordia Jedi goes ham, hard as mace.
Okay,
We'll bleep that out.
Okay, no, I mean, like, it'll still give more options, but I think at the same time, for their aesthetic, for what they're going for the more effects that fit more on screen type of thing, because it'll give you the blade
right. The
scrolling effect, and it'll also give you other effects. Now, am I saying that that's necessarily the best way to go? Not necessarily, but it's different for every person, and if you're selling something for their best aesthetic. Now, I think for Disney purposes, I do feel like, yeah, with these effects and the things that it can do for them and what they're selling and what they're selling to kids, to adults, to people, they're more, it's more of their, that's more of their aesthetic. Now, at the same time, could you have options maybe in the future for different things for different people and kind of the way that they may want it? Sure. But I think overall, in the sense that this is for the general market
right,
and so that's why I say they're trying to target right, because this is for general market. It's for all people comparative to trying to a certain niche that they're trying to get to. They're trying to reach as many people as they possibly can.
Another question I have is, do you think that we'll ever get like good thin neck sabers from like the Disney officially licensed products?
Well, we've kind of seen that.
If they did go with
with the Galaxy's Edge,
that's kind of cheating if you ask me, because you have to remove the accurate the accurate neck piece in order to and put on this big bulky one. Now
that I haven't seen.
Yeah, you don't put in you don't put in a blade into a thin neck. You have to take that whole neck and grenade section off and replace it with one that has an adapter. It's another bulky Black Series like neck. The only difference is that the color is not copper; it's more of a gold. Which
I haven't seen that.
That's no, come on. By this point, like the fans have the technologies to do the thin necks right. I don't think it would take a whole lot on Disney's part to just say, you know what, these are really bulky necks on the sabers that are supposed to be like real thin. And I get you don't want to make them too thin, but like even going just a half an inch less than what you've got, because right now the necks are about they're almost this thick on that.
You sure they're not like that?
Nope, it's thicker than that. Thicker than it's only slightly thicker than the whole width of the main body for the Luke. I don't know if they have an Obi-Wan Revenge of the Sith model there. To my knowledge, they don't. But I can imagine if they did.
I heard they did.
Well, I can imagine it's the same kind of setup where you have to remove the more accurate one to put in a blade. And that the accurate one is only for show. The accurate neck is only for show, which... It may not seem like a huge issue, but as someone who loves the aesthetic, that's why when it comes to dueling, I don't like to sacrifice aesthetic very much. Dueling is always my first priority when it comes to my sabers, but I also love aesthetic. That's why I like the converted Black Series. I can duel with this. I can go hard, but it also has a nice look. It looks like a Graflex. Now you compare it with some of the replicas and an actual Graflex flash gun. Of course, it's going to look different. It's going to look a little bulkier, but when you're looking at it just straight on in a video or in a fight, you look at that and you're like, oh yeah, that's the Skywalker lightsaber. But like when it comes to the thin necks, I'm kind of in the same boat. When I had the Texas Custom Sabers Luke, which I still very much miss, but I had to sell that one. It still had the thin neck, but it was just slightly thicker. It was one solid piece, and you could fight with it. It held up well to dueling. The sad thing is that Texas Custom Sabers is going out of business. Did you hear that?
I did not hear that.
Yeah, they're gonna stop making sabers, so the cost of used ones, I imagine, will probably go up if I ever wanted to get another one. It's gonna suck, but unless someone else takes that reign of making sabers that sacrifice 100% authenticity for duelability. I don't know. It seems like the more I get into the hobby, the more it looks like I'm in a minority. It seems like most people in the hobby prefer to just have them for display and have them be as accurate and flashy as possible. Whereas, for my purposes, you know me, I want them to be able to take a beating first and foremost. I don't know. For me, it seems like it's a little bit backwards. I mean, if you can't fight with your lightsaber, what's the point of having it? If I wanted to display it on a shelf, I would get one that didn't have any lights in it. It'd be cheaper. What do you think?
I mean, I still think that, no, I agree with you that I think, I want to be able to fight with my saber, but I also think, yeah, there is a time and a place for, display ones and things done certain ways. Because, I mean, it can be a conversation piece and a nice thing to have. And, I mean, yeah, because, I mean, like, is there a way that can be done? Yeah, and it can be like kind of like a nice showpiece on the wall and things like that.
Yeah.
Now there are some that are like that, but there are some that, because here's what gets me is some of those people that just want the showpieces.
Yeah.
Like that because like
yeah.
like for example,
like I get. On one hand, I'm not saying that this is completely lost to me. I get it to an extent. Like most of these people who would spend the thousands of dollars to upgrade these things to the absolute max, they wouldn't want to duel with these at all. These are collectors who want items that are as close as possible to what we see in the movies, and I get that. But for me, I don't get the people who would spend thousands of dollars on a completely customized, completely original lightsaber and not make sure that it could at least take a few whacks. It just, because the people coming by, they might recognize that it's a lightsaber, but to them it's just going to be, it's not a replica, it's not a movie prop, it's just, you just spent $2,000 making a very fancy lightsaber that you're not going to swing around or fight with. That's why for me, I like it, at some point, who knows, maybe I will get one that I'll only have for display. But at the same time, I'm also going to have several on hand that I can fight with. I think if you can't do anything with it, it's just going to sit on a shelf and collect dust. It just doesn't make too much sense to me personally. Speaking of which, news with the Saber community. Shamin just got engaged, so congratulations. But he's considering selling off his Sauron's Wrath saber. Now, speaking as someone who, if he had the money, would jump right at that, please don't sell that saber, Shamin. That is a work of art that you have created. You put a lot, I know you're probably not watching this, but you put a lot of time and effort and love and care into that saber, and yeah, I know you're transitioning away from the saber community. I get that. You want to focus on other interests and other aspects of your life, possibly starting a family. That's not my business, but at the same time, I think if you're gonna keep at least one saber, keep Sauron's Wrath. That's an incredible piece, and I couldn't bear to really see it in the hands of any other owner but you.
Well, I mean, I agree. I would hope that he does, but at the same time, I will say this is, he can do with it as he wants.
I get
no,
that.
and no. Do I hope he keeps it? And yeah, I agree with practically everything you said. It's just, yeah, it's hard to see that, but.
And I think a good portion of the Saber community agrees with me. Like, people who I saw who would normally be looking at this thing going, oh, where do I sign up? Where can I buy? Let me get on board. Let me send you a message and I'll buy it as soon as possible. These same people were going like, dude, come on. That's your baby. Don't sell your baby. Don't be a gypsy. No, people sell their babies to the gypsies. According to what my parents told me, they always said if you were bad, they were going to sell you to the gypsies. Anyway, moving on. Like with, it's kind of surreal. Just like Shamim was such a big name in the community, and a lot of people will give flack for that. They're like he wasn't that great, or like he wasn't even a sabersmith. He was just an installer. But at the same time, he's someone, he had over 20,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel before he took that down, which again, I wish he hadn't taken that down, because he had some really useful tutorials on his YouTube page, and a lot of great videos that you and I still would watch from time to time.
Oh yeah.
And so, but it's just kind of surreal just seeing him say, yeah, I'm just transitioning away. Like, we wish you all the best, but it's still kind of left a void there, if you know what I mean. Moving on to our last topic. As it pertains to stunt sabers, because I'm considering getting another stunt saber. My question for you is, would you ever consider getting a stunt saber? If so, why or why not?
I mean,
what do you
maybe, but probably not. I just love the fact of having the sounds and having everything with it. I mean, yeah, is it nice to have something that, it's just like, oh yeah, light up. But yeah. I mean, it just to me personally, I just love that aesthetic I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm an in-hilt guy like you, but I mean, in the future, could I see myself,
going all out NeoPixel?
Right. Maybe.
Crystal Chamber.
Well, Crystal Chamber, I don't know about that one. Well, maybe if I'm like doing, I don't even know about that. I mean, the only one I think I would ever create that would be a show saber is if I somehow, by the power of God, was able to get a vintage Graflex and have it like modeled to look everything to the T.
The question with that would be, would you install electronics in it? Because there are some people in the community who would call you a heathen for defacing a vintage one.
Well,
they would say keep the vintage one as it is. And then get yourself a Graflex shop or Graflex 2.0 or a Roman's prop, something very, very similar or very accurate to an actual Graflex or a Corbanth Graflex, and they'd say put the electronics in that one but leave the actual vintage one alone.
Well, I would not to the full extent of use, like here's where I get it. Yeah, I'd go with like something with that option, but I would still put not exactly electronics in it, but I'll explain what I'm saying.
Mod it to look like it, but not exactly put the
exactly. Like I'd have like all the innards of like what a lightsaber would be like, like and the crystals and all that other stuff in it. Like make it all like in the inside part of it, like still like all of it basically Oh, it's pretty much a lightsaber except for, because, the electronics for a lightsaber take up the entire inside. So the entire inside would be more of a, okay, here's what a lightsaber looks like and whatever. And, maybe there might be some electronics inside somewhere that kind of have a little, some light up stuff that's, like
to light the crystal.
Or whatnot, or what have you. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But something that would be... something.
We kind of got off from stunt sabers there for a sec, but with stunt sabers, my stance on them is it's always great to have a sound saber that you can fight with. Like for me, that's my Arbiter. I can fight with this thing. It's a solid saber, really nice. But at the same time, every now and then when we fight a little too hard with it, the saber shuts off and starts back up again and reboots. Now with a stunt saber, you don't get that. Stunt sabers are lighter weight, even though they don't have sound, they still provide an incredible aesthetic. You can hang them on your belt. It's the only real difference with them is you don't have sound, and there's some pros to stunt sabers. One of those pros being, if I drop a stunt saber, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to give two shakes of a leg, because I know that even if something in the stunt saber breaks, I saw that. Even if something in the stunt saber breaks, that's going to be extremely cheap to fix. It's going to be maybe a switch needs to be rewired, or maybe the battery pack, and that'll cost what, $15, $30 max. But if I were to drop this, I'd have a mini heart attack, because this costs quite a bit more. And if I did drop this, I know that repairs are going to be much more than they would be for a stunt saber. Stunt sabers also won't shut off during dueling unless your hand goes across the switch by accident. And again, I think you can do better tricks with stunt sabers because they are lighter. And they tend to be slimmer, in my opinion, depending on the hilt that you get. And the big thing is, again, if you're going to be dueling like we do in our videos, you're gonna want a saber that'll hold up to that. And this is surprisingly the one that when I duel with it shuts off the least. But I'm going to be getting a stunt. I think Thomas said he's going to be getting a stunt too. He's going to be getting a Dark Sentinel V5, one of the new models, in either red or orange. I forget which one it was, but that's going to be good. We're going to be able to choreograph some better fights. I'm going to be looking into adding the sound effects to the videos manually, and seeing how that looks. Just downloading the different sounds that from the movies and that kind of stuff, and then adding them in where I see fit. But for that purpose, I think stunt sabers are the way to go. What do you think?
I don't know. I just always like the aesthetic of sound.
They're also cheaper too. Like, you can get a stunt saber for around $50-$60 if you're looking in the right places.
Yeah, I don't know. I just always like the aesthetic of sound.
Well, I do too. That's why I'm not saying like go only stunt saber.
Oh yeah, no, I get that. I'm just saying
that way I'd have a nice, two nice sound sabers and one that's strictly for dueling and show. They're also good for conventions too if you don't want to sound up. But even for that, I just have mute mode.
Yeah, because I saw. Are you gonna? There's that Dark Arbiter. You're gonna.
I was looking at that. I'm not sure. What color was it again? The Guardian Blue.
It might have been blue or green.
Yeah, I'm looking for greens or reds at the moment. I got me a blue. I think we'll call it right now for this episode of Sabertalk. Kind of a lower list of topics, but it can be slow in the community from time to time. So if you guys like this video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And may the force be with you.
Always.